Tonight we're going to talk about one variable inequalities based on a number line. I know that you've already done these in 6th and 7th grade with the open dot and closed dot, but there's just a couple of little glitches that we may have encountered on the road, and I want to make sure that we understand them. Two of the big things are going to be the concepts of at least and no more than. Case in point, when I took my grandson to Myrtle Beach this summer, you had to be at least 42 inches tall to ride this ride called the Himalayan. Now, unfortunately, JJ's only 38 inches in height, so he was not greater than or equal to 42 inches, so we had one crying 3-year-old this summer who couldn't ride the Himalayan. No more than means less than or equal to. You can have no more than 3 people come spend the night tonight. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, that means if you've invited 4, someone's going to be unhappy because no more than means less than or equal to. So let's take care of this as far as a word problem goes. And Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He wants to have at least $200 in the account by the end of the summer. He withdraws $25 each week for food, clothes, and movie tickets. Write an inequality that represents his situation, and how many weeks can he withdraw money? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the problem comes in. Most of you like to go straight to your X's and Y's and O's and zeros and everything else. I'd like you to think about a verbal model, okay? The money in the bank has to be greater than or equal to $200. Okay. Now, how will he have money in the bank? Well, he starts at $500 and then he removes $25 per week. Okay. That has to be greater than or equal to the $200. 500 minus 25. Let's give this a label of W. But see, by this arrow, I can clearly tell that W stands for weeks, greater than or equal to 200. Subtract 500 from both sides. That's using the additive inverse to isolate the constants. We have negative 25W, greater than or equal to negative 300. We have to use a multiplicative inverse. But here's the problem, and hopefully what you remember is this. If you are multiplying and dividing both sides of an inequality by a negative number, this becomes the inverse. And so W would be less than or equal to 12 weeks, okay? You can have no more than 12 weekly withdrawals. It's very important with word problems that you also spell out to me and to the publisher what exactly you're talking about. Let's go with this next one. Yellow Cab Taxi charges a $1.75 flat rate in addition to 65 cents per mile. Katie has no more than $10 to spend on a ride. Write an inequality that represents Katie's situation. How many miles can Katie travel without exceeding her limit? Well, let's think about this way. Again, verbal model. The cost has to be less than or equal to $10. What does it cost? It costs a start rate, and then it costs 65 cents per mile, and that has to be less than or equal to $10. So what was that start rate? $1.75. What was the mileage rate? 65 cents per mile. Let's make that an M. Less than or equal to 10. Why don't you go ahead and finish this one and you can start it tomorrow. Now, this is tricky. The question asks to write and solve an inequality to find the length of a rectangle and to write an inequality to find the area of the rectangle. It tells that the width is 33 centimeters and the perimeter is at least 776 centimeters. How can I do this problem? Okay, well, the perimeter is at least, okay, greater than or equal to 776 centimeters. How do you find perimeter? Well, the writer expects that you know 2 times the length plus 2 times the width has to be greater than or equal to 776 centimeters. Okay? Do you know the length? No. Do you know the width? Yes. 33. Greater than or equal to 776. 2 length plus 66 greater than or equal to 710. 2 length greater than or equal to, subtracted 66. Too busy, already, 710. So, divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by 2. The length has to be greater than or equal to 355, okay? So, inequalities word problem. Fred bought 3 shirts, each of the same price, received less than $12 change from a $50 bill. What is the maximum cost of one shirt? I would like you to make sure that you write the verbal model for tomorrow and share it with your partners. So go ahead and stop the screen and write that down. One more reminder, don't forget, when you divide or multiply an inequality, to isolate the variable, by a negative, the inverse sign must be used. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to stop the video, do these 8 problems, and this is where we start class tomorrow. If you have trouble with solving inequalities from word problems, here is a website that you can go to. Mr. Nerd will bid you adieu, and Mrs. Rose, with her curly hair that you know she doesn't have, says, toodaloo, I'll see you tomorrow.